GearNetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network. You're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast on the Gear Radio Network.
And with that, we welcome you to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, powered by Better Live Than Dead and the Gear Radio Network. This is episode 164. We're calling it Grammy Talk with Ben Mathewson, and it just so happens, joining me on the IndyCar Media Hotline, Ben himself, at Ben_Mathewson on Twitter. Ben, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing well. Excited to talk about some music and see how these awards go this week.
I was going to say, we normally try to mix it up and talk everything along the board, from films to music to sports. But I think today, with the Grammys only a handful of days away, there's a lot to talk about, and we're going to hit on all of it today. Now, first, before we get started here, you can hear us on BetterLiveThanDead.com, GearNetwork.com, Apple Podcasts, Bullhorn, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, the Radio.com app, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. If you don't know by now, I am Ryan Wolfe at Wolfe BLTD. Obviously, as I mentioned, Ben is at Ben_Mathewson on Twitter. And it is Grammy season. But before we get started there, Ben, just to break down the fourth wall, I wrote this podcast a little while ago when the Grammy nominations came out. And at that time, we had a big musical news story, which is the first of our three big things this week on the podcast. It's All I Want for Christmas, in parentheses, Is You. It's a number one single. And why is that such a big deal, you may ask? For the first time in 25 years, Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas hit number one on both the Rolling Stones song chart and Billboard Hot 100. Now, mind you, the amount of time we hear this song, it's insane. I feel like it starts around, like the day after Halloween, and I feel like we hear it until New Year's, and it gets played ad nauseum, just to the point where I can just go into a quiet room and that's the song that I hear in my head.
Right.
25 years though. It's the longest stretch of time it took a song to reach number one. It's the first holiday number one on a Hot 100 in 61 years. The last song being the Chipmunk song, which is adorable. It's Mariah Carey's 19th number one single. That is the most Hot 100 number one singles by any solo artist ever, and second all time, tied with Elvis. She is one behind the Beatles for first all time. Also, Mariah Carey joins an elite club of acts who have had a number one single in the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. Because at this time it was 2019 when this happened. Then she joins Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, and Usher. Also, the song has had a cult following over the years, as we mentioned. Ben, a recent poll in the UK actually ranked it the most annoying song of all time. How impressive of a feat is this 25 years later?
Well, it's funny because it's super impressive that a song like that has continued to resonate year after year, but it's also a comment on technology and how we consume music. Because it's always, it's a big song every year, but for most of the history of the Billboard chart, it's based on single sales and album sales or whatever. And so with a song like All I Want for Christmas Is You, a lot of people buy it every year, but a lot of people bought it the year previous and the year before that, and so on for the last 20 years. And so a lot of people already had it. And so even though it got a big sales boost every year, it wasn't enough to become a number one song. But now that basically everyone is just listening via streaming on Spotify and Apple Music or whatever else, the charts are based on streams, of course, the number of streams the song is getting. And so the same number of people are likely listening to the song that have been listening to for the last 20 years, but we're all listening to it on streaming now, which actually affect the charts far more than sales do at this point. And so because of that, that's basically the reason it became a number one song all the time or this time. And so it's likely it's actually going to be a number one song almost every year going forward because of that. And there are probably going to be other Christmas songs that are going to hop into the top 40 more than they ever did due to the way we listen to music now. And I'm actually kind of curious to see if Billboard puts some sort of limit on when a song was released, whether or not it can qualify for charts if this continues to happen around the holidays because of that.
That would definitely make sense, because there's a good example here. You mentioned talking about streaming. This happened back in 2018, but Mariah Carey's song was so popular, according to Billboard.com, it set a new one-day streaming record on Spotify on Christmas Eve. The song was played 10.8 million times in a day.
Jesus, that's amazing. Yeah, I can't even 10.8 million streams. That's huge in one day.
It's actually kind of funny that we're talking about this today. I didn't do this on purpose. I was just rolling through Billboard.com as I clicked on that article to get that number for you. And actually, 4 days ago, Mariah Carey was announced as a one of the 2020 inductees into the Songwriter Hall of Fame. So again, I guess I can't make this stuff up. It just kind of falls into my lap. That's how it always works here on the podcast.
Yeah, pretty fitting. No, it's super impressive. It's the idea of being able to write a song that transcends and remains relevant year after year is a pretty impressive feat. Especially, I know obviously Christmas music comes around every year, but basically for some reason we decided that good Christmas music ended in like 1961, and basically anything written or recorded after that doesn't really get replayed anymore. And so that she was able to break through with a song in the 90s that has, is now played alongside White Christmas and whatever else we value in Christmas music is really impressive.
It's crazy to me too how little we talked about this before in the podcast. I'm just scrolling through reading some stuff, so I can't necessarily say that it is 100% true, but I'm just reading through here and seeing hey, they played 10 million streams in a night, and then you look and it says here between November 2019 and Christmas of 2019, Mariah Carey was expected to make roughly $600,000 in royalties off of that song. That's in the grand scheme of things, like to me and you, Ben, that's a lot of money. But to someone like that, who they literally make their living off this, that's not a lot of money.
Yeah. I guess it's the continued fight between whether or not, or how much streaming services need to be paying. I think they certainly need to be paying more for sure. And hopefully soon, especially someone on the other side in the industry that is supposed to receive those royalty payments. In her case, it's kind of perfect because I'm pretty sure I would imagine that whole thing was recouped decades ago. And so she's been making money off of it every year. And so that $600,000, whatever she gets over 2 months every year is basically all profit at this point, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Nice little bonus check.
That all those, yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much what it is.
Now, with that being said, I don't want to beat it to death like the song is. We get the idea. The song hit number one. It plays a lot. Mm-hmm. We hear it all the time. British people think it's annoying. I would not. I mean, I think she's an incredible artist, and she can sing. She can sing the wheels off of a car. I don't even know if that's a saying. I just made it up. But she's incredible. That song does kind of get old after a while, but I guess in my older age, I've kind of softened up a little. I just don't care. But sure. I want to move over to our second of the three big things this podcast this week. The 2020 Grammy nominations that were released back in November. As we mentioned, as of the time of recording, it's Monday, January 20th. The Grammy Awards are January 26th. So it's coming up hot and heavy here. Lizzo, no surprise, leads with 8 nominations. Billie Eilish and Lil Nas X racked up 6 nominations each. Now, what we can do here, because I know that, Ben, you are, I mean, I have my thoughts here, but I know you're more in tune with the musical industry more than most of us, obviously, because that is your day job. So what we'll do is we'll run down each category and we'll give our thoughts and predict who will win each award here. Just the 4 big ones here. First off, Record of the Year, which is awarded for a single track or one track. I know every year it's confusing. Album of the Year, Song of the Year, Record of the Year. What does it mean? Does life have meaning? I understand that. We're breaking it down for you. Record of the Year, again, awarded for a single or one track. Hey Ma by Bon Iver, Bad Guy by Billie Eilish, 7 Rings by Ariana Grande, Hard Place by H.E.R., Talk by Khalid, Old Town Road by Lil Nas X and featuring Billy Ray Cyrus, Truth Hurts by Lizzo, and Sunflower by Post Malone and Sway Lee. Who do you think, Ben, is the favorite in this category?
To me, so everyone is aware, Record of the Year, it's a recording award. So it's the single itself. It's the audio performance of the song is what's being awarded here. So it's not a songwriting award. It is literally the recording of it that's being awarded. And so to me, it's either Old Town Road or Truth Hurts. Of those two, I would probably lean Truth Hurts just because I think Lizzo probably sort of, I don't know, her impact is bigger across the board, but Old Town Road was 16 weeks at number one or whatever, maybe
Yeah, the
even a
amount of
little longer.
streams it had was insane.
Right. So it's almost certainly one of those two songs, Old Town Road or Truth Hurts. It might be a situation where things get split as I think down the road. So I don't know. If I had to put money on it, I'll probably Old Town Road. I think that's probably what it would be.
I was going to say, I would have to say that I believe that Truth Hurts probably should win. I think what Lizzo has done has been incredible. The following that she has amassed very quickly. I mean, I think what Billie Eilish has done is incredible as well.
I was going to say, I do think Bad Guy is actually a sneaky bet there too.
I was going to say, if you mentioned betting, I'm looking up the betting odds now because I want to see.
Yeah, maybe Old Town Road and Truth Hurts sort of split the vote, and Bad Guy comes in and wins.
Apparently, now, record of the year. Yeah, Old Town Road is favorite. From this one website I'm looking at is the favorite, with Bad Guy being second and Truth Hurts third. I think everyone, aside from Lil Nas X, Billie Eilish, and Lizzo, that's just a thanks for coming, thanks for having us.
Sure.
And you just move forward from there. But I mean, sure. I think no matter what, I think that's going to kind of be the theme of the Grammys this year, just kind of overall before we move to album of the year. It just seems a lot like it's going to be dominated by a few people, but the few people who will dominate the Grammys have truly transcended the music industry and have been absolutely incredible this past year.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to follow along. I sort of appreciate the diverse nature of the Big Four awards this year. Kind of all over the place, with Lil Nas X representing both hip hop and country, and Lizzo just sort of being a next level pop R&B superstar in the way she has, along with Billie Eilish, who kind of came in with a form of pop music that is unique unto itself and obviously darker and not your typical pop star, along with Ariana, who is much more along the lines of a typical diva pop star, I suppose. So it's really interesting to follow just that this diverse cast of musicians are the ones that are being nominated for the Big Four awards this year.
Absolutely. And moving over to the album of the year, again, another very diverse category this year that is awarded for the full album, goes to all involved in the recording the process. You've got I by Bon Iver, Norman effing Rockwell by Lana Del Rey, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go by Billie Eilish, Thank You Next by Ariana Grande, I Used to Know Her by H.E.R., 'Cause I Love You Deluxe by Lizzo, and Father of the Bride by Vampire Weekend. Ben, who do you have in this category?
I mean, if I had a vote this year, I would personally vote for Vampire Weekend because I love that record. I just think it's so good, top to bottom, incredible album. I don't think there's any chance it wins. It's for sure my favorite. I do also need to say that I think Maren Morris was unbelievably snubbed here, not getting a nomination for Girl. That said, looking at the odds, I didn't realize, I guess Billie Eilish is the favorite, at least according to OddsShark, which I guess makes a little bit of sense. For me, it's her, Lizzo. I was leaning Lizzo in the first place, just because I think she had more significant songs across the board, and the album, I think, was praised top to bottom, basically from the moment it came out. So right now, I think I would lean Lizzo, but Billie Eilish does make sense as well.
I think with Billie Eilish, just the way with it being the album of the year, going to everybody involved in the process, I really think that just the overall the songs, the recording, the entire process, top to bottom, left to right, is just that album, that record feels so good, and obviously it's been so impactful, and so many people have rallied behind her. Not to say, because again, this is Billie Eilish or Lizzo, in my opinion. Lizzo's record also absolutely incredible. If either one of them win, there's going to be no argument from a lot of people, that's for sure. But again, it seems like these two women are going to dominate, and right. I see no difference in this category.
I mean, thinking about it now, looking at the four major categories, it's likely that they kind of all split. So the voters would sort of basically give them each one. So my guess is that like Lil Nas X will probably get record of the year. Billie Eilish will get album. Lizzo will get song of the year for Truth Hurts. And then best new artist, I don't know, would probably be between Lizzo and Billie Eilish as well to sort of split that. I think they're both neck and neck to win that one. So yeah, that actually makes sense for Billie Eilish to get the album of the year in this case.
Yeah, and right now it's looking like, and we'll talk about best new artist in a second, but Billie Eilish, again, the favorite in that category, it looks like. Song of the year awarded for a single song, but this one goes to the songwriters.
Correct.
Lady Gaga's Always Remember Us This Way, Billie Eilish,
Great
Bad
song.
Guy, Tanya Tucker's Bring My Flowers Now, Hard Place by H.E.R., Lover by Taylor Swift, Norman Effing Rockwell by Lana Del Rey, Someone You Loved by Louis Capaldi, and Truth Hurts by Lizzo. Ben, I know you talked about this a second ago, but for me, I think this category, hands down, is probably Lizzo's to lose.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Which is interesting because we listen to it, think of it more as like a record of the year song, but dig deeper into the songwriting. It's like a fascinating, just the structure of the song and the melody and there's just a million different hooks in it that just, I don't know. But one of my favorite things to experience is like being at a concert and like between set changes, they'll occasionally play Truth Hurts, and like the crowd reaction to a song in the middle of a playlist between set changes for completely different artists that have nothing to do with Lizzo is a really incredible experience and really telling about the impact of that song. And I don't know, I think it's a really good indication of just like the merits of the songwriting in and of itself to sort of transcend and impact that way outside of just like seeing her perform it live or whatever. But at the same time, I'm glad to see that Lady Gaga's Always Remember Us This Way. I thought it was pretty smart of their team and with A Star Is Born to push the release of that song to fall into this year's, because obviously that movie was from the year prior, but they pushed the release of that single so that it would qualify for this year too. And Always Remember Us This Way, personally, I think is the best song on the Star Is Born soundtrack. I think it's way better than I can't remember now. The lead single, though, that they sang together. But yeah, I think this one's Lizzo's all the way.
I also really like the Taylor Swift song in this category. It's grown on me. I'm not a big Taylor Swift guy, but that song has definitely grown on me. It's very catchy, which is pretty much all of Taylor Swift's discography. If it's not catchy, it's probably not her song. But it's not the song I
would have picked from that record to be nominated. Same with Ariana Grande. They nominated 7 Rings for Record of the Year, and like I don't know, she had so many. To me, it should have been Thank You Next, or even Break Up With Your Boyfriend, but probably Thank You Next I thought was a bigger record, bigger single than 7 Rings. So I was shocked to see that. So, and the same with Taylor Swift, like, I don't know, I'm guessing they went with Lover because it's the song that's in 6/8 and it's more of a throwback to her roots, it's not acoustic, but more that it's waltzy and stripped down a bit. So I guess it sort of makes sense, but that's not necessarily a song I would have gone with for this nomination.
I mean, that's the one thing I'm sitting here reading right now, and we're looking at it. We're both looking at the same website at this point, Oddshark. They do point out the song of the year is meant for an award to be for the composers, obviously, as we mentioned. And with Bad Guy being arranged and written by Billie Eilish and her brother, you would think that would be the way they would go because of the fact that they're so young and they're so talented. They're able to do this in their parents' house. And it was right. Such a huge hit. But again, just like the record of the year, where essentially if you have a catchy song and your song was like the song of the year, if you will, you're probably going to win that one, which is why we both believe Old Town Road will win. Much like I feel with Song of the Year, it's kind of the same thing, but you have to have a little more, like, I guess, meat and potatoes to it. And that's why I think a song like Bad Guy or Truth Hurts is going to win, because not only was it super popular, but everywhere you go, you heard it, as you mentioned. I mean, if you go up to someone and say, finish this line, I just took a DNA test, go.
Right.
I guarantee you 9 out of 10 people will not even tell you. They will yell the line back in your face.
Right.
Because that song, I've seen that song get the youngest of young to the oldest of old incredibly hype for no reason other than the fact that it's just so catchy. And for some reason, it feels like the perfect song for radio.
Yeah, for radio and for large crowds, like anytime you're in a large crowd and that song comes on, it's just, I don't know, everyone goes nuts, and it's been a long time since we had a song like that.
The one thing we failed to mention, sorry, Ben, is that song was written years ago, but because it was included on the deluxe edition of "'Cause I Love You," it's there's that little loophole where it now becomes eligible for the Grammys again.
Oh, really? Okay, I wasn't aware of that. That's interesting.
I believe so. Let me double check, but I believe. Let me look it up right now. Yeah, it was originally released September 19th, 2017, but then re-released as a radio single in 2019.
That's right. I didn't know that.
It was put onto the record so that way it could be nominated.
Right. So it's being nominated for Record of the Year and Song of the Year without being a single. It's a track off an album. That's right. Because you have to indicate that I guess a little inside baseball. I have to submit the Grammy nominations for our artists, and you have to indicate whether or not it's a single or a track off an album when you're filling out the submissions. So that makes sense. And
just to double check with you, since obviously you know a little more about this than I do, if they didn't put the deluxe edition up for the Grammy Awards, would this song then not be eligible because it's not on the regular? It's only on the deluxe edition.
So the single. Oh, that's interesting. So it's not even on the regular. So then, so that would have to have been off of the, because it has to have been off of a record that was released in the qualifying period, which I think was September to August.
So the deluxe version, the regular version, does not include it. The deluxe edition includes the song "Boys."
Yeah, so this one it has to be. But that's interesting. So I had to do that.
Sports can have their little nuances. Music can too. It's very fun. You just got to find them.
Yeah, it is an interesting. Like, I know people will. I don't know. There's a reasonable argument about it being, not great that a song from 2017 can be nominated for this year. But I don't know. I think I'm okay with the leeway because it clearly was a significant song that made its impact this year specifically, or 2019 specifically. So I don't know. It makes sense to me that it would be allowed regardless.
We've seen I'm just looking over here at some old Grammy winners. We've seen groups before where their songs come out in the 80s or 90s and they're winning Grammys now, I feel like, because it's all about when it's released, and if it's in that time frame, then they can find it. Those people are very good at finding ways to make these things happen. And that's why they have jobs. That's why they are in the position that they are in, because they're able to make things like this happen. And clearly it's all about manipulation. If you know how to manipulate the system, and clearly they don't mind it because it happens all the time, it feels like. But again, it's a smart move. It's a very smart move, very subtle move, because the naked eye would be like, so it's on the deluxe edition, so I just have to listen to the deluxe edition when I turn on Spotify. But then there's people like you and I, Ben, that sit there and go, that's how they got it eligible. That's how it's going to win. It's how it's going to win Grammys. And that's if they win one Grammy award, even only one Grammy award, that was a brilliant move.
For sure. Oh yeah. And I would expect them to win a couple of Grammy awards. So yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
Lizzo's going to walk out with a few new pieces of hardware for her bookshelf. Now moving over to Best New Artist, the last of, I guess, the big categories here.
That's the big four.
The favorite here, no surprise, Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
Lizzo, Lil Nas X, 1, 2, 3. But it looks like it'll be there's the Black Pumas, Billie Eilish, Lil Nas X, Lizzo, Maggie Rogers, Rosalia, and Tank and the Bangas, I believe is how you say it. Now looking here, if Billie Eilish was to win both Best New Artist and Album of the Year, she would be only the fourth artist of all time to do this, and the first since Norah Jones in 2003. So again, Bovada has, this was 2 or 3 weeks ago, but Bovada has odds of Billie Eilish winning the Best New Artist Grammy in 2020.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would expect her to be the favorite, her or Lizzo, again, because they weren't their success went beyond just one track. It was a couple tracks and sort of a critically acclaimed full album. So yeah, I'd probably lean Billie Eilish as Lizzo right behind her. Personally, if I were a voter, my personal favorite of all the nominees was Maggie Rogers. I think she's she's just incredible. Her album is one of my favorite albums of the year, and I would have loved to have seen that, although that may have been a prior year release, but I would have loved to see that get nominated for album of the year potentially. I think it's so good. And honorable mention to Tank of the Bangas. I'm one of the guys I work with at Rope It Up is the tour manager for Tank of the Bangas, so it's pretty cool to see them nominated for Best New Artist this year. So yeah, I would expect Billie Eilish to win this one for sure.
And the last one, because the page split here, Yola, I believe, is. Mm-hmm. I'm so bad with names, but I think I got that one right. They're also nominated for Best New Artist, but again, probably going to be Billie Eilish or Lizzo. Anyone else would, even Lil Nas X might be a little surprising in that category. But
right.
Moving over to the third of the three big things here on the podcast this week, Grammy snubs. I know, Ben, you mentioned one, so I'll save that for last. But starting from the top, Halsey. Billboard points out, quote, Halsey has yet to be nominated in a Big Four Grammy category. She had her first number one smash hit as lead artist, Without Me, this year. The Emmys and the CMAs have tapped her to sing on their telecasts, an indication of her star power, but clearly that Grammy love has been hard to come by. One that I guess not really broken up about, I can jokingly say I am, but it would be pretty funny. Trent Reznor had a co-production credit on Old Town Road. If you may not know, at this point, yep. Lil Nas X had a sample of a 9 Inch Nails track, which technically makes Trent Reznor a part of it all, but he was not included on the Record of the Year nomination. Bruce Springsteen, might be the first time on the podcast you'll ever hear me, and maybe the last time you'll ever hear me say that Bruce Springsteen was snubbed for something. He released Western Stars this past Grammy calendar year. It was well received across the music industry, received no nominations. Taylor Swift received no Album of the Year nomination for Lover. Get this, Ben. It's the first time in her career that she has missed out on an Album of the Year nomination on back-to-back studio albums. That's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jonas Brothers received no top-tier nominations, only walk away with one nomination, Best Pop Duo Group Performance for their song Sucker, which I enjoy that song very much.
Mm-hmm.
Also, both myself and you, Ben, were very bummed out about this. Maren Morris only received one nomination, a Best Country Duo Group Performance for Common.
Yeah.
I don't know where the love was missing for her. That was an incredible record, but hopefully she at least wins that one and can walk out on top with one Grammy.
It was shocking to me that she didn't get an overall Album of the Year nomination, but even more shocking was that she didn't get a Country Album of the Year nomination when she just won Album of the Year at the CMA Awards, which is obviously it's the Country Music Association, but it is the primary country music awards. So that she went without even a nomination at the Grammys for the country album is pretty shocking to me. And I don't totally understand that, let alone Album of the Year, which I think it should have absolutely been nominated for as well. I don't get it at all. She's so well liked in this town. So you think of the people that would have been voting on the country categories are mostly based in Nashville, that she didn't get any sort of nomination is pretty absurd to me.
I mean, looking at who was nominated as well, Eric Church, Reba McEntire, Pistol Annie's, Thomas Rhett, and Tanya Tucker.
But the Tanya Tucker one, I don't remember anyone talking about the Tanya Tucker record at all this year. So the fact that's getting nominated over,
I'm right there with you, honestly.
Girl is pretty absurd to me. I appreciate that there are three women or two solo women and female group nominated for country album. That's pretty shocking for country music, but one of them should have been replaced by Maren Morris.
I mean, especially coming off of Casey Musgrave's successes, right. I feel like that maybe it was a potential for the Grammys to continue to kind of diversify themselves a little, and instead of just being, I understand. End of the day, it's a popularity contest pretty much. If you have the most popular song of the year, you're going to win a lot of Grammys. But it's an opportunity for them to diversify and kind of say, like with Casey Musgraves winning, you go, oh, hey, they actually are recognizing the fact that there is really good country music out there. And at this point, like you said, winning the Album of the Year at the CMAs, and it was an incredible record, very well received, very well played across the radio. and then it just completely falls flat with the Grammy nominations. I don't know if it's something to do with with some politics or something. But like I'm reading here from Entertainment Weekly. I couldn't for some reason read the word there. Entertainment Weekly is talking about how Tanya Tucker's nominations, again, completely surprising to see her get 4 nominations. Again, it's very strange how these things work out. Certainly think that Maren Morris got the raw end of this deal for sure.
Yeah, super frustrating. And that's the biggest one for me that just doesn't make any sense.
Now, looking at the Grammys, they will be, like we mentioned, Sunday night, the 26th of January, this Sunday night at the Staples Center, can be seen locally on CBS.
Yep.
Ben, is there anything else you'll be watching the Grammys for, or will you just be watching to see who upsets you?
So a couple things worth pointing out. The company I work for is Rope-A-Dope, and we have 2 nominations this year. We're nominated for Best Contemporary Instrumental Album of the Year with Christian Scott Atunde-Adjua's Ancestral Recall. It's the second year in a row he's been nominated for that award. He did not win it last year, but we're hoping second year in a row is a good sign that the voters really like the record. It was named one of the top 25 records of the year across all genres by NPR, and it was also named a top 200 album of the decade by AllMusic, as well as being at the top of a lot of jazz albums of the year list for 2019. So there's some significant momentum behind it, and hopefully a sign that he may walk away with the Grammy on Sunday. We also have this is the first time we'll have 2 nominees by 2 separate artists. We had 2 nominations for Nate Smith a couple years ago, but this year we also have a nomination for David Sanchez for Best Latin Jazz Album of the Year for his record Carib. So that's really exciting to have 2 separate artists nominated, and hopefully 2 wins this year. And also, I'm actually going to be heading out to LA on Thursday to be out there for the Grammys. So I'll actually be in LA for all the festivities.
That's awesome.
This weekend, which is very exciting and something I wasn't aware was going to happen until like 4 days ago. So
surprise!
Pretty excited to be heading out there. We've got if you're in the LA area, we're actually throwing a party for Christian Scott and David Sanchez at Resident Saturday night. So come on out for that and celebrate their nominations.
Well, congratulations on the nominations, and hopefully, I don't even have to say hopefully you'll enjoy it. I know you'll enjoy your trip to Los Angeles, and I hope you guys have a blast and much success for sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's my first time out in LA, so I'm really excited to finally see what it's all about. Ah,
yes, the Big Apple.
Yes, the Big Easy, as they say.
The Windy City. Yes.
Yep.
Well, Ben, we'll make sure to follow on Twitter again at Ben_Mathewson, MATHEWSON. Ben, I appreciate you joining the podcast today to talk the Grammys.
Yeah, man, anytime.
And hopefully we can get together again soon and talk about the Sabres when they aren't so disappointing.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Well, with that being said, that's a great note to end on. I am Ryan Wolfe at Wolfe BLTD. As always, we are better live than dead, and you are not. We will catch you sometime very soon. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll catch you. Like I said, I'm repeating myself here. We'll catch you very soon. Enjoy the Grammys, and bye.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.